Good morning. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. As chair of the Board of Supervisors, I am here today with my colleague, Vice Chair Nora Vargas, along with Ellen Nash, the chair of the Leon Williams Human Relations Commission, and with leaders from our API community. And we are here today to stand and speak with one voice, to stand in solidarity with our API community members, to denounce the hate which we are seeing across our country, targeted at our API community. And in partnership with the API Coalition, who helped us draft language, Supervisor Vargas and myself will be bringing forward a resolution and board letter at our meeting on April 6th with recommendations to engage our Human Relations Commission on concrete steps that we can take moving forward to address the rise in the epidemic of hate crimes and violence and racism that we are seeing attacking our API communities. Earlier this year as a board, we declared racism a public health crisis and committed ourselves as a county to ensure that we look at policies, programs, and services through a racial justice lens to ensure equity across county government. We are working intentionally to make San Diego County a welcoming place, a place of belonging, a place where every life is valued, where everyone is treated with dignity and with respect. As a county, we will not stand or tolerate acts of hatred. We will fight against white supremacy. We will fight against structural racism, and we will always stand as an ally to every member of our community in that basic pursuit of dignity and justice. Our country has a long history of attacking communities of color, and the API community is no exception to this history. From the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882 to the Japanese internment camps of the 1940s, right here in our own state of California. We have a history, and we must be honest about that. We must acknowledge that, and we must take intentional steps to overcome it as a people. Early last year, about a year ago, I joined API leaders in our country after attacks against our Asian fellow residents surrounding the coronavirus. We stood in Kearny Mesa and denounced those attacks, and this dangerous rhetoric has increased against our Chinese and API American members during COVID-19, often fueled by ignorance, fueled by underlying racism, fueled by the specific language and words of our previous president, and we have to move beyond that. We must address intolerance. We must address it in a united fashion. Structural racism, as defined by the Aspen Institute, is a system in which public policies, institutional practices, cultural representation, and other norms work in various ways, reinforcing ways to perpetuate racial group inequity. It identifies dimensions of our history and culture that are associated with privilege, associated with whiteness, and disadvantages associated with color, to endure and adapt over time. Structural racism is not something that a few people or institutions choose to practice. Instead, it has been a feature of the social, economic, and political system in which we all exist. And that is the system we have to change, the structural nature which underlines it. And because of that, it is imperative that we intentionally work to become anti-racist, both as institutions and as a culture, especially when we are tasked with creating public policies that affect our Black, Indigenous, Latino, API, and all communities of color across this county. And so our resolution moving forward, myself and Supervisor Vargas, is a strong step in this direction, but it is a first step. Engaging with the API Coalition, listening to the community members, engaging with our Human Relations Commission, which last year we brought back for this very purpose of engaging and listening and working with community members and coming up with policies, with changes, with suggestions, with action items that need to be done. I think this is an important and vital step that we take. The organizations and activists involved in this effort have been fighting to save Black lives, to protect our Indigenous communities, fighting against discrimination against our Latino community, and over and over and over. And now we all stand united in this effort to continue on that path to be a more perfect union. For all of those communities that are here who have joined us, those who are watching at home, I want you to know your county government hears you. We acknowledge the injustices that are taking place, and we stand with you together to take action fighting alongside. We have to confront the realities of what we face, and together we will continue to move forward.